Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we'll discuss about the anatomy of nose, external nose and nasal septum in detail. So in the previous video we have discussed about the soft palate. Today we'll discuss about nose under following headings: functions of nose, parts of nose, that is external nose and nasal cavity, what are the walls of nasal cavity, and one of the walls of nasal cavity, nasal septum in detail, its blood supply, nerve supply and applied aspects of nasal septum. So you can see the nose is an organ of olfaction, and an average dog has around 200 to 250 million receptors in their nose, and humans have around 5 million scent receptors. So what are the functions of nose? Nose is involved in heat exchange, humidification of the external air or inspired air to make it to the body temperature, adjust to body temperature, because it has the respiratory mucosa lined by numerous blood vessels and nerves which are involved in the reflexes, sneezing reflex, cough reflex. It's also involved in voice modification, and the main purpose of nose is for olfaction. So it is meant for the olfactory function. And coming to the nose, it is divided into two regions, that is a pyramidal projection called as external nose and a nasal cavity which is lined by respiratory mucosa and olfactory epithelium for the purpose of olfaction. You can see the external nose. It is the pyramidal projection from the facial skeleton. So every time your eyes see your nose, but brain chooses to ignore it. You can see the external nose is a pyramidal projection there, having different parts. You can see the different parts there. The root, the part of the nose, external nose, where it meets the forehead, and the bridge, that is the dorsum nasi on either side, and you can see the inferior aperture nares. You can see there the root, the dorsum, the bridge, and the tip or apex and ala of the nose guarding the anterior nares or nostrils. Anterior nares are the openings in the inferior aperture or the inferior apertures of the external nose. You can see here in the lowest diagram. You can see the nostrils on either side of the a soft tissue called as columella, and you can see they are guarded by the ala of the nose or wings of the nose. You can see the root, that is the bridge, on either side forms the dorsum of the nose, and you can see the supratip break there between the lateral cartilage and the ala cartilages, infratip break, and you can see the prominent the major alar cartilage there guarding the anterior part of the nostrils, and the framework of the external nose is made up of cartilage and bones. The bones forming are the frontal bone, the nasal bones, and maxilla on either side, and you can see the cartilage there, septal cartilage and the lateral cartilage forming the dorsum, and that is major alar cartilage and minor alar cartilage guarding the ala with fibrofatty tissue. So the nasal bones form the bridge there, and upper cartilage is form the and supports this side, and lower cartilage provides the support, width and height, and gives the shape to the nose along with nostrils and tip of nose. And skin is loosely attached to the bones and firmly attached to the cartilages there. You can see once you take out the skin and superficial fascia, you will see the numerous muscles guarding the or acting on the nose, that is procerus, compressor naris or transverse nasalis. This is dilator naris muscle, and that is depressor septi, and on either side you will see levator labiae superioris alaquenese. So these muscles of nose are essentially the muscles of face supplied by facial nerve, and you can see procerus there, transverse or compressor nasalis, and that is the dilator naris. You can see depressor septi along with the levator labiae alaquenese on the lateral side in the nasolabial groove. Coming to the blood supply, it is supplied by the ophthalmic artery, which is a branch of internal carotid artery, and an infraorbital branch of maxillary artery, which is a branch of external carotid, whereas the skin of the ala and septum are supplied by the branch of facial artery, which is a branch of external carotid artery. So the nose is supplied by both external and internal carotids. Coming to the nerve supply, The upper part of the near the root of the nose, it is supplied by infratrochlear nerve and the external nasal branch of the ophthalmic nerve and infraorbital nerve. So if you see in the animation here, that is the root, bridge or dorsum, tip, and that is you can see the tear trough and ala of the nose with the nostrils there. And on the side view, if you observe here, you will see the parts of the external nose, the root, the tip, the bridge, apex or tip, that is columella, you can see, that is ala, and on the inferior side you will see the nostrils or anterior nares, which communicate the nasal cavity with the external environment. You can see the columella there between the two nostrils, and you can see the skin is loosely attached to the bones, whereas it is firmly attached to the cartilages, and over the cartilage it is thick because of the fibrofatty tissue. And coming to the skeletal framework, above it is formed by the frontal bone and pair of nasal bone, below and laterally by the pair of maxillae that we have discussed in the osteology of norma frontalis. Please go and check out that video in the channel. And you can see from the orbit, you can see nasolacrimal ducts there, upper part of nasolacrimal duct, and cartilaginous framework is formed by the lateral cartilage and lower nasal cartilage, that is major alar cartilages. And you can also see on the side minor alar cartilage, that is frontal bone. So above nasal bone and frontal bone, below and laterally and inferiorly the maxilla, whereas this is lateral cartilage or major, then this one is major alar cartilage, that is lateral cartilage also called as upper nasal cartilage, major alar cartilage is also called as the lower nasal cartilage. Those are the minor alar cartilage with fibrofatty tissue, you can see there, minor alar cartilage forming the support of the ala with the fibrofatty tissue, the soft tissue there. And you can see this is the skeletal framework of the external nose. What you observe here is very important, and you can see the rhinion there, that is nasion, where frontonasal suture meet the internasal suture. Rhinion is the point where a cartilaginous part meet the bony part of the nose. This is the mobile part. Cartilaginous part is mobile, provides the shape, width to the nose, whereas the bony framework forms the support of the nose and forms the majority of the bridge of the nose. You can see when you disarticulate the skeletal framework, it looks like this. You can see the individual things now. The frontal bone, pair of nasal bone, pair of maxillae, pair of lateral cartilage or upper nasal cartilage, pair of lower nasal cartilage or major alar cartilage, which are U-shaped to regulate the size of the nostrils with the actions of the muscles like transverse nasalis and compressor naris, fibrofatty tissue. These all together form the skeletal framework of the external nose. You can see here. And coming to the muscles acting on the nose, first the procerus, you can see it produces the transverse wrinkles and elevate the root of the nose there, that is procerus, transverse nasalis or compressor nasalis, dilator naris, this is depressor septi. On either side you are seeing levator labial superioris alaquanesi, muscle with the longest name, you can say. It has action both on upper lip and nose. That's what is called as labia superioris alaquanesi. So these are the muscles of the external nose, what you are seeing here. This is the musculoskeletal framework. Now we will see the blood supply. Near the root of the nose, you will see the blood supply is from the ophthalmic artery, branch of internal carotid artery, one of the terminal branches, you can see there. And on either side of the bridge or dorsum of the nose, you will see the infraorbital artery. It is the that is ophthalmic artery, and here you can see that is infraorbital artery coming from infraorbital foramina, one of the branches of maxillary artery. And as you come laterally, you will see lateral nasal artery. It is a branch of facial artery, and you can see the facial artery gives three branches in the face: superior labial, inferior labial, and lateral nasal. And coming to the nerve supply, mainly by external nasal branch of the anterior ethmoidal, and that is infratrochlear branch, and infraorbital nerve branch of the maxillary nerve. And nasal cavity is lined by respiratory mucosa and surrounded by paranasal air sinuses, and is divided into right and left half by the midline nasal septum, and each nasal cavity has a roof, floor, and a medial wall, that is nasal septum, and a lateral wall. Lateral wall is irregular, whereas medial wall is smooth. Lateral wall is irregular because of the bony shelf-like projections called as turbinate or concha. And you can see nasal cavity communicates outside with the external element by nostrils, and on either side of the nasal cavity you will see orbits. You can see anterior nares and nostrils, posterior nares or concha, conae. Posterior nares are also called as coinae. They communicate the nasal cavity with the nasopharynx. You can see there anterior aperture and posterior apertures. And this nasal cavity on either side is surrounded by the orbits. We have discussed while discussing orbit, the medial wall of the orbit forms the lateral wall of the nasal cavity. You can see the anterior nares communicate cavity with the external element, whereas the coinae, posterior nares, communicate with the nasopharynx. And you can see the anterior nares or nostrils have the framework of the major ala cartilage, which are U-shaped, and this U-shaped helps to regulate the nostrils in case of different facial expression, anger and happiness, compressing and dilating. This U-shaped ala cartilage will help in that expression. And you can see coinae around 2.5 centimeter in length and 1.25 centimeter in width, and it is coinae lie on either side of the vomer bone, held below by the palatine bone, and nasal cavity is separated from the oral cavity by the hard palate below, and from the cranial cavity above by the frontal ethmoidal and sphenoid bones. So this cavity has communication with all these cavities via different gateways or foramina that we will discuss in detail. And nasal cavity is surrounded by the paranasal air sinuses, pair of frontal sinuses on above, and a pair of maxillary sinuses on either side, and behind and above you will see sphenoid, and above you will see pair of ethmoid, and also you can see nasolacrimal duct communicating the lacrimal sac with the nasal cavity. And you can see the mucosa of the nasal cavity and the paranasal air sinuses here. You can see coinae, posterior nares, and anterior nares here with the soft tissue framework. And nasal cavity is divided by the nasal septum into two cavities, right and left. You can see pair of frontal sinus anterosuperiorly, on either side a maxillary sinus, superiorly ethmoid sinus, and posterosuperiorly pair of sphenoid sinus. These are sphenoid sinus. So all the paranasal air sinuses are paired and they are around the nasal cavity. That's why they are called as paranasal. And each of the nasal cavity, each half has the different regions. The three regions are there. The nasal vestibule is a small dilated space just internal to the nostrils, and it is lined by skin, and it has hair follicles, curved hairs called as vibrissae. You can see that is the part of the nasal cavity: vestibule, respiratory and olfactory regions. So each half of the nasal cavity has three regions, that is vestibule lined by skin, so it has same lining epithelium as the skin and contains the hair follicles called as vibrissae, rough curved hairs. And then respiratory region, the largest part of the nasal cavity, has a rich neurovascular supply and has a a smooth medial wall and a irregular lateral wall. Olfactory region is small, around area of 5 centimeter, 2.5 on either side of the nasal septum, and is lined by olfactory epithelium and containing olfactory receptors. And the nasal cavity, along with all these, it also helps in the temperature regulation and humidification of the respiratory air and trapping of the dust particles. Coming to the different walls, the roof of the nasal cavity is narrow from side to side. It is formed by the cribriform plate of ethmoid in the middle. It is slopy, and anteriorly it is formed by the lateral cartilage, major alar cartilage, frontal bone and nasal bone, whereas you can see there nasal bone and nasal spine of frontal bone. Posteriorly it is formed by anterior and inferior surface of the sphenoid bone. At the level of cribriform plate, it is around 1.5 to 2 millimeter wide, whereas near the sphenoid bone it is around 8 millimeter wide. Whereas roof is very narrowest part of the nasal cavity. You can see the regions there: vestibule, respiratory and olfactory regions. Vestibule is lined by the skin, olfactory region is lined by olfactory epithelium, whereas respiratory region is by the respiratory epithelium. Coming to the floor of the nasal cavity, it is formed anteriorly by the soft tissue of the ala, then by the palatine process of maxilla, and behind by the horizontal process of palatine bone. And these two bones form hard palate, and you can see the posterior crescentic margin of palatine bone, anterior and posterior nasal spines there. And floor of the each half measures around 7.5 centimeter in length, around 1.5 centimeter in width. You can see the roof is there, the medial wall, nasal septum, the lateral wall is bony, irregular, and the floor, you can see the floor of the nasal cavity. So you can see each half has roof, floor, medial wall and lateral wall. Whereas medial wall, what you can see here, medial wall of the left nasal cavity, in the left lateral view, what you are seeing, it is very smooth, whereas lateral wall is irregular, covered by mucosa for the purpose of increasing the surface area for the humidification. And you can see the bones there: lateral cartilage, nasal spine of frontal bone, nasal bone, ethmoid. These all form the roof. As I told you, roof is very narrow. It is formed by cribriform plate of ethmoid in the middle, nasal bone, frontal bone and lateral cartilage anteriorly, whereas sphenoid bone posteriorly. You can see here the sphenoid bone is there. Ethmoid bone is a irregular complex bone. It is one of the complex bones of the skull, and here you can see that is the cribriform plate of ethmoid. It has sieves through which olfactory nerves enter the frontal lobe of the brain. So these are the bones: nasal bone, frontal bone, lateral cartilage, that is septal cartilage. Septal cartilage is a part of septum, but you can see here below by the palatine bone and a maxilla bone, you can see there. And you can see above sphenoid is there. Vomer is dividing it into two parts. The nasal cavity, vomer guards the choana. On the other side of the vomer you are seeing the choana, posterior nares. And once you see the medial wall, that is nasal septum, it is osteocartilaginous septum lined by mucosa. You can see there, covered by mucosa. It has following cartilage and bones. Septal cartilage is there, quadrilateral septal cartilage, anterior inferiorly, and pentagonal perpendicular plate of ethmoid, and quadrilateral vomer posterior inferiorly. And you can see the nasal bone there and the nasal spine of frontal bone. You can see there, forming the roof, and floor is formed by the maxilla and palatine bone. You can say nasal crest of the maxilla and palatine bone, whereas the principal parts of the nasal septum are three: perpendicular plate of ethmoid above, below and in front. Anterior inferiorly you will see quadrilateral septal cartilage, posterior inferiorly quadrilateral vomer. Whereas the accessory bones are nasal bone, frontal bone, sphenoid, maxilla and palatine bone. These are accessory bones. And coming to the principal parts of the nasal septum. What is nasal septum? Osteocartilaginous partition covered by mucosa. You can see the pentagonal cribriform plate of ethmoid bone there and a quadrilateral septal cartilage. You can see the 5 borders of the cribriform plate of ethmoid. Above it is related to the cribriform, and the perpendicular part forms the nasal septum. This perpendicular part of the ethmoid bone or perpendicular plate of ethmoid bone above related to the cribriform plate, anteroinferiorly septal cartilage, posterior-inferiorly vomer, and posteriorly sphenoid. And as you see here, this ethmoid bone, it is the most complex bone of the skull, and it forms the medial wall, you can say there, medial wall, that is nasal septum, and the roof and lateral wall of the nasal cavity. So it forms 3 walls: medial wall, lateral wall, and roof of the nasal cavity. And in the midline it has a perpendicular plate. Above it has a crista galli to which falx cerebri attaches, and on either side of crista galli you will see cribriform plate of ethmoid through which olfactory nerve enters, and on either side of cribriform plate, descending downward and laterally, you will see lateral mass or labyrinth of the ethmoid, and forming superior and middle turbinates or superior and middle nasal concha. You can see in this one. So ethmoid bone forms the majority of the boundary of the nasal cavity. It forms the medial wall, lateral wall, and roof. You can see the 2 concha there with the ethmoidal sinuses. And next, coming to the vomer bone, it is roughly quadrilateral. So anteriorly it is related to the perpendicular of ethmoid above and septal cartilage below, and below it is related to the maxilla and palatine bone. Posterior border is free. Above it is related to the spine of sphenoid, and vomer bone, it divides the nasal cavity, and on either side of vomer bone you will see the choanae, and vomer bone is bilateral in development, so it diverges above into 2 alae, and below it will articulate with the palatine bone, above with the body of sphenoid, that is scintillasis, wedge and groove suture that we have discussed. So that is about vomer. Then coming to the accessory bones, these are 2 principal bones. Perpendicular part of ethmoid and vomer are principal bones. Accessory bones are palatine maxilla, nasal bone, nasal spina frontal bone, sphenoidal bone. And coming to the principal cartilage involved in the formation of nasal septum, that is septal cartilage. It is roughly quadrilateral, and anterosuperiorly it is related to the, and you can see septal cartilage anterosuperior related to the this lateral nasal cartilage or upper nasal cartilage, and below with the superior process of this major alar cartilage. You can see in this animation, you can see the ethmoid bone with the perpendicular part of ethmoid in the middle, lateral mass, that is septal cartilage, quadrilateral vomer bone, and the perpendicular plate here. If you see ethmoid bone, the most complex bone of the skull, having the cribriform plate there, lateral mass or labyrinth of the ethmoid containing the ethmoidal sinuses, and it gives rise to superior and middle nasal concha. Inferior nasal concha is an independent bone. You can see the part of the ethmoid in the nasal septum, that is pentagonal. You can see superior border, posterior inferior border, and anterior inferior border, and posterior border there. Whereas vomer is quadrilateral, septal cartilage is roughly quadrilateral. So you know the boundaries, and sometimes between the septal cartilage and vomer bone there is vomeronasal cartilage containing the vomeronasal organ of Jacobson. It is a blind mucosal pouch around 2 to 3 millimeter wide, lined by olfactory epithelium. It is prominent in lower animals like dog and rabbits. Coming to the blood supply, arterial supply, anterosuperiorly the nasal septum is supplied by the anterior ethmoidal artery, posterior-inferiorly by the spinopalatine and greater palatine, and the mobile part of the nasal septum is supplied by the superior labial branch of the facial artery. And where all these arteries meet, they form a plexus called as Kisselbach's plexus. It is formed by facial artery, anterior ethmoidal artery, greater palatine and spinopalatine artery, and the area here it is called as Little's area, and this area is prone for foreign body injury, causing anterior epistaxis. So it is prone for the ulcers because of this rich vascular plexus. Coming to the venous drainage, anterosuperiorly it is drained by the superior sagittal sinus, where nasal vein communicates with it via foramen cecum, and from the olfactory region they drain to cavernous sinus, posterior-inferiorly to the pterygoidinous plexus, and the mobile part drains into the facial vein, the cartilaginous part. And lymphatic drainage, anterosuperiorly drains into submandibular lymph nodes, posterior-inferiorly into the retropharyngeal lymph nodes or deep cervical lymph nodes, whereas the olfactory region, it runs along the perineural sheath around the olfactory nerves and drain into CSF. That is about lymphatic drainage. Coming to the nerve supply, the nasal septum is divided into 4 quadrants. Anterosuperiorly you can see the anteroethmoidal nerve, posterior-superiorly the spinopalatal nerve will be there, posterior-inferiorly greater palatal nerve, and antero-inferiorly you will see the anterior-superior alveolar nerve coming from the maxillae, and the mobile part is by the external nasal branch of anteroethmoidal. So anterosuperior, posterior-superior, posterior-inferior, and antero-inferior. So these 4 quadrants you can see. The olfactory part is drained, or it is innervated by the olfactory nerves. You can see the nasopalatal nerve. All these are branches of pterygopalatine ganglion, the nasal branch of pterygopalatine ganglion. So all these nasal glands, nasal mucosa is supported by pterygopalatine ganglion. Coming to the development of the nose. So as you already know, nose is a part of the face. So it develops from the one of the processes involved in development of face. So you can see the nose develops from the nasal sac or the olfactory placode and pit on either side of the frontonasal process there, that is maxillary process, and mandibular process, that is frontonasal process. Face develops from 5 processes: frontonasal, pair of maxillary, pair of mandibular, and that is olfactory sac or nasal sac, having a median nasal process and a lateral nasal process. Median nasal process join with each other and above with the frontonasal process and below with the maxillary process. Frontonasal forms the root and the bridge, whereas the median nasal process forms the tip and philtrum, whereas lateral nasal process forms the ala. Where the median nasal process joins with the maxillary process, they form the upper lip. You can see frontonasal process there. On the right side, the arrow is showing there, that is maxillary process on either side, and mandibular process fused there. So this nasal sac or olfactory pit divides it into medial nasal process and lateral nasal process. Both the medial nasal process joint form the tip, whereas lateral nasal process forms the ala, and there will be a nasolabial groove. Coming to the applied aspects, septum can be injured in case of accidents or wounds leading to septal hematoma, and the Kesselbach's plexus in the nasal septum may lead to the anterior epistaxis, and sometimes the cartilage is deformed leading to the deviated nasal septum, where septum is bulged to one side or deviated to one side. You can see there, causing the nasal obstruction and sinus related problems. So you can see in here endoscopic view of the left sided nasal cavity, septal spur is there. You can see the smooth nasal septum there. On the right side, irregular lateral wall, and this deviated nasal septum is corrected by septoplasty by taking the Killian's or modified Killian incision, where the deformed cartilaginous pieces are removed, and again they are reshaped, and with the nasal packing they are repaired. So you can see on the left side, that is deviated to the left, and after the septoplasty, this is the shape of the nasal septum. Thank you for watching. So this is about the external nose and nasal septum. Next video we will see lateral wall of nose. Thank you.